Have you ever thought you're so smart? Well, David McRaney would disagree. In fact, he would disagree so adamantly that he even wrote a book about it. His book is called You Are Not So Smart. And guess what? You're not. Everything you think you know is actually the result of a grand conspiracy going on in your brain right this very minute to make you think that you know more than you actually do. Now, in McRaney's book, he talks about 48 different things that your brain does to think you're smarter than you actually are. And 5 of those things I'm going to tell you about right now. The first thing that your brain does to make you think that you know more than you do is called the introspection illusion. When you make judgments about things, you usually make a snap judgment simply based on how you feel, how things look, what things smell like even. But you think that you're a rational person that makes a rational judgment. So when you think about why you made this decision over that decision, you look back into your history, into the history of different objects, into the background of different things, you do research, and then you say, I made this decision based on rationality. That's not actually true. And that brings me to my second point, which the brain does, which is called confabulation. Confabulation is the process by which you create narratives to explain your choices. These narratives are rarely, if ever, true. These narratives are made up by your brain because your brain wants to trick itself into believing it's more rational than it actually is. So, let's say you go out and buy a pair of shoes. You bought these shoes for a reason that your brain doesn't actually know. You might think to yourself that you bought these shoes because they're the best shoes on the market, because they're the cheapest shoes on the market, because they have excellent quality, because they have nice colors, because they feel good on your feet. None of these reasons are actually true. The reason why you probably bought these shoes is because you bought similar shoes from the same brand in the past, and you're trying to rationalize your past choices by continuing to do the exact same arbitrary thing that you did last year, and the year before, and the year before that, and the year before that. You find it really difficult to break a habit and get yourself out of a rut that you're in. Another thing that you do, that no one ever thinks they do, is called groupthink. People, when they're in a group, will agree with each other and instead of being the odd man out. No one ever wants to be the one person with the dissenting opinion. This is how a bunch of smart people can get into a group together and make some really stupid choices. For example, JFK, who is a really smart guy, and a bunch of his advisors coming together and thinking it was a really good idea to invade Vietnam. Not a single one of them spoke up and said, hey, I don't agree with this, even though privately many of them harbored doubts. But no one wanted to be the odd man out. Another thing that people do when they're in groups that they don't realize they do is called social loafing. Social loafing is the process by which you expect others to do all the work. When you're in a group of 5 or 6, you do less work, you expect other people will do more. Now, other people expect you will do more. So they do the exact same thing. They put in less effort. So when you've got a group of really capable, really talented people, less work is actually getting done because everyone expects other people to pick up the slack. Another thing that your brain does is called the availability heuristic. Put simply, this is why it seems like shark attacks are way more common than fallen coconuts killing people. This is because when you turn on the news, you might read about a shark attack, you might hear about a shark attack, you might see it on TV, so you think that shark attacks are really common. When was the last time that you turned on the TV and saw a story about someone getting hit in the head with a fallen coconut? Probably never. That's because fallen coconuts are a lot more common than shark attacks, so no one wants to put it on the news. However, you hear and read a lot about shark attacks, so you think sharks are really dangerous and decide to go take a nap under that coconut tree. The last thing that I'm going to tell you about that your brain does to mess you up is called the fundamental attribution error. When things go your way and things are going really well, you assume that this is because of you. You assume that this is because of some innate trait that you possess that is making everything go your way today. However, when things don't go your way, when bad things happen, when you mess up, you assume that it's because of external events. Now, all of this is to protect your ego. But when you fail a test, you assume that it's because the test was really hard or your teacher's out to get you. When you ace a test, you assume it's because you're really smart or you studied really hard. When you run a marathon, you say, oh, I was able to complete the 5 miles because I trained really hard. When you get tired halfway through, you make excuses. You say it's because of the weather, it's because of something beyond your control. Everyone does this. Everyone blames other people and nature when things go wrong and congratulates themselves when things go well. So the next time you think that you really know something or that you really understand your true motives, remember, like David McRaney says, you are not so smart.